Hi there. Welcome to Progressive Alternative with Victor Monjares. I'm Victor Monjares. And today, this is just a review about the Democratic debate that happened 2 days ago. It's Thursday, January 16th at the moment. It happened 2 days ago. Wasn't able to really watch it live because, unfortunately, TV provider situations wouldn't really entail it properly. So had to gather up all the information from many people that I trust, sources, other outlets out there. And specifically, it's just unfortunately, it was not very good. It wasn't a very good debate. Now, of course, the candidates did everything they could, except for Biden. Yeah, I have my certain positions about Biden. He's basically last in my rankings that I will present at the end of this. But basically, CNN just really wasn't able to really convey very important questions. They basically hashed everything out that they did in the past, and really relied on basically the main event, the whole juiciness of the beef that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren that I have here and there. Got it, nailed it. About basically their statements about, oh yeah, that a woman cannot be president, and that they had a private conversation, or as Elizabeth Warren basically proclaims. Of course, as I stand up for Bernie Sanders, that there's so much evidence to basically say that, oh yeah, Bernie actually does believe that a woman can run, but just being a woman alone doesn't get you guaranteed you to be the next president of the United States. You have to be someone who's progressive and able to have an agenda that propels so much people to go out there and vote for something against instead of against. So what it was that the CNN and the Des Moines Register newspaper really tried to do, or at least just the newspaper themselves, ask substantial questions. But of course, CNN, they're quite very biased of trying to promote a specific agenda to say, yeah, there's always something wrong with these candidates. We have to create conflict, and that's fine. You know, you don't want a very boring debate and make people think for a while. But of course, you know, when you're relying on just basically secondhand information about certain specific things, that's not really helpful to the discussion of the what we need to be resolved here in the United States. I can admire the aspect that you're trying to criticize each other. You're trying to become much more better than just saying, "Oh yeah, she said, he said that," because that's basically what Elizabeth Warren tried to do to promote that women can actually run for something and win. They together of Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, were on that stage to say, "Oh yeah, we're basically undefeated, so we should be the best candidate." Of course, with my intake of that is that they tried to really promote that. They didn't really promote the women that ran for different seats, or even currently right now. And I was disappointed that they didn't promote either Teresa Greenfield running for the United States Senate seat in Iowa, or Kimberly Graham, who's also running for that same seat against Joni Ernst, who's the incumbent of the Republican Party. And basically, that could potentially become a swing state there. Unfortunately, when you really have Iowa as the first in the nation, that doesn't totally reflect the entirety of the United States. Basically, it's still dominantly Caucasian. I think I heard from the United States Census, at least the one from 2010, because they only publish those every 10 years. 10. I think it's just quite maddening. Julian Castro, who dropped out earlier of the race, was just saying, "Oh yeah, they shouldn't be first," and he tried to hold a town hall to say that to make himself unique. But if great that you want to criticize the whole process, because I know there's a lot of things we need to reform here, especially the electoral college. I think we reform it, we can't get rid of it completely. The rural estates need to have a voice, because if you have only populations, then it's basically candidates are only going to go to places that will have the most populations. So it's about, but if you criticize it and if you don't have a plan to improve it, then you really are just left to say, I'm just going to complain because I'm not in a certain position of influence to make a greater impact. For me, basically, I would say make Minnesota the first nation to actually be the first to cast a ballot. So the little bit much more improving was the nationwide demographics, and the Midwestern states still have a voice in it. I mean, that's how Amy Klobuchar has improved so far. She did okay, pretty well, except forgetting again when it was her time to speak up about the whole aspects of women running the political office. Is that she couldn't remember Laura Kelly's name of Kansas. The governor of Kansas is Laura Kelly. She kind of just like, oh yeah, I'm so honored to be her friend, even though you couldn't remember her name. Kind of tells you something about that. And it's like, probably wanted to look that up if you were going to make it about female empowerment in office. I love females. I love when females run for something. Run for something. Stop being against it. But, when you say, yeah, I'm going to call that out, then say, well, how do we improve that? And Amy Klobuchar, though she is progressive, she's problematically progressive. That kind of is annoying, but I can give her some admiration to say, oh yeah, how do we basically put our agenda forward and become so much better of ourselves. So Tom Steyer didn't really do much, couldn't really get too much out there that he could really proclaim as something much more, even though he's a billionaire funding mostly his campaign, but he still does want people to get involved, to donate, to promote him. Spending all that money in South Carolina and Nevada kind of does help him out, basically improve the polls. I'll talk about where he is at the in a few minutes. And Biden, just like, he doesn't know what he's doing. He knows he wants to take on Trump, but other than that, he's kind of lost. He's so damn lost. Doesn't know what he's doing anymore. I'm just really frustrated with the aspect that he tried to run away from the Iraq vote that he took on many years ago. Bernie tried to basically point that out, because that was basically what it was going to be. It was going to be between Bernie and Biden stances on healthcare and foreign policy because of the whole Iran situation. And of course the impeachment trials as well now that they have going on. And the United States Senate is now set to vote on that, or at least hear a trial, which unfortunately with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, he's most likely just going to not be very much more progressive in basically presenting witnesses in defense of the President Trump or of his other associates, that basically he's in that the focal point of the operations of that process. Lack of a better word, I can say. And so those remaining 4 United States senators, Bennett, Warren, Klobuchar, and Sanders, have to basically now be at the United States Capitol to basically hear this, and they have to be away from technology. They have to be really invested in this, and hopefully Warren and Bernie can settle out their differences there. I think that what they really set it out was that they were basically having a healthy debate. It was actually kind of cute when they finally encountered each other about that whole question about, oh yeah, can a female run for office? It's like, yeah, but it's like, can you be much more than just being female? Be more about helping others. I mean, that's why I have the Moms Demand Action, mothers leading efforts to curb gun violence, unions also, and Planned Parenthood. Those questions were not asked tonight too, from what I was able to read upon it. It's like, unfortunately, those all took a back seat until basically, unfortunately, the next school shooting incident happening. And it's like, that's a tragic thing. And I blame so much on CNN for that. All of that, basically, all the negativity is because of CNN. Just, they're not really good at hosting debates. They're good at just basically reporting the stories. Just stick to that. I get it. You're trying to make money. You're trying to get clicks, but your specialty is not that, unfortunately. Thankfully, I only listen to them or at least get some information from them. Just simply, I don't make it my majority. I love CBS News a lot more, and also PBS as well. Just anything with at least more contribution between basically people helping out is in my good record book. And then there's a bunch of other online resources out there like the Young Turks, or basically going to your local public radio stations, or anything that really doesn't rely too much on drug companies helping them out is a pretty good source of news outlets. And of course, Bernie and Kirito remind me of this two couple, Kirito and Asuna. Oh yeah, if we ever got into a fight, if you saw that episode Sword Online, and where he basically tells Sugawa while Asuna still kind of like indulge or in seduce about that whole world, trapped in that virtual reality world, basically tells Sugawa about, oh yeah, that if we ever clash swords, then we're basically she would basically match up against me. And that's basically what I saw was Bernie and Warren. It's like they actually criticize each other. They actually did it very cool. And about that whole comment, it's like, yeah, I did actually beat a incumbent Republican from 30 years ago, which she made about the whole, that I was the only one to basically win an election against a incumbent who was a Republican in the past 30 years. It was very cute. I thought that was wonderful. I hope they can really work it out during that whole trial. Because I do have faith that the electorate will basically still vote based on their policy. What are they going to do for them? What are they going to help them out? I mean, sure, they're still going to be colleagues at the end of, basically, realistically, at the end of this election term of 2020, because, whoever's the president, they'll still help support them. They'll still either be a United States senator, maybe a majority leader, maybe a minority leader. Anything's possible. And definitely hope he and she work it out pretty well. And I know I'll do my best, because I'll already convince that I still have that hanging up there. No violence. Just be critical and improve the nation. Especially against Rumpf. God. And so, let's see. It was quite maddening. You have an all-white cast. But again, you do know that there's two women at this point in the race. Two women already still running for the presidency, or at least still in the in that debate stage. And you still have Tulsi here, and you want to make sure that it's diverse. But of course, unfortunately, the circumstances everywhere else, the DNC, and it's because it's labeled for Iowa more liking, or Nevada, or South Carolina, New Hampshire, that kind of puts them at a disadvantage. And you have to have an encouraging message. Again, you have to have an encouraging message to just keep thriving and become the president, and help out people down the ballot as well. The United States Senate race, the United States congressional seat, especially that one in Iowa against Steve King, the current incumbent, who's basically a goddamn racist and a homophobe. And I'm glad to be supporting J.D. Scholten. I hope I said that right. Taking on him, and going to be really quite impactful. And I wish they would have asked that question. CNN would have done that, but no. Again, they can't do much. D plus. They were just, that debate just wasn't really helping out much. But of course, I'll say more. Let me get to my rankings. Let's see, there are 12 major candidates. There's more according to the FEC. Joe Biden, that would be last place. Then it would be Pete Buttigieg. He barely did anything much in that debate, unfortunately, except just relying on that whole basically taking every conservative words that they've dominated for the past 25 years and made it into a democratic value as well. John Delaney, he's kind of improving, but unfortunately his scope is just that, oh yeah, you basically ran for 2 years being nothing but no excitement, and just saying, oh yeah, I just want to take it back the way it is. It's just bipartisanship. And I get bipartisanship is important, but to sacrifice not helping out the people with Medicare for all, single payer, anything that excites the people, the electorate, that's not really helpful. And Deval Patrick, he's there. He's trying to do something. He's late into the race. He's also the other African American candidate running. Everyone was upset because Cory Booker's out and was like, oh yeah, there are no more black people in the race. You do know Deval Patrick's in there, but he's just pinging around. He doesn't have any issues on his stated on his website yet, at least last time I checked, which was about 3 days ago. Let's see, Michael Bennet would be another up there. I like ranked choice voting, by the way. I think this would be ninth. He would be ninth. Michael Bennet would be ninth. He supported Frackenloper. I don't like that. It's just, although he does also support ranked choice voting, so I do kind of respect him for that. Trying to get Colorado on the stage. You have a United States Senate race up there, and he's supporting Frackenloper. I support Andrew Ramoff. We have a disagreement with that. He probably would do something good for Secretary of Education. Way better than Betsy DeVos is. Sorry about the dog noise. Yeah, taking care of some dogs. And they're quite patient. Unfortunately, I can't bring them in here at this moment. Parents are doing something with them. And so then would be Michael Bloomberg. That would be eighth. That would be eighth. Yeah, he's spending a lot of money going to other states as well that aren't getting as much attention as those four starting states, such as Michigan, California, maybe even Idaho. He did say something about going to Idaho, although the other candidates have spent some time there, some time in those other states like Michigan or Wisconsin, but of course, obviously, they have to spend more time in those first four to make their appeal case. Got a good list of notes here. That would be 6 would be Tulsi Gabbard. Really love that she's been able to really make an impactful voice about the anti-war, that we don't want to go into any more regime change wars, and trying to hold both the Democratic and the Republican parties' leaderships, and just being persuaded by the military-industrial complex. Love that. I didn't like her present vote, though, about the impeachment, but I get why. You want to say that you're not hyper-partisan, but you do want to hold them accountable. And I hope she has a plan later on to improve on that, because it's just looking like it's in the past. But she's not running for that seat anymore, for the congressional seat that she currently holds at the moment. Kind of wish she would, promote more candidates down the ballot. And then it would be Andrew Yang. He's still making some great appearances, making basically almost the same thing about Tulsi Gabbard he has, but of course more on automation and just really helping out, saying that, yeah, it's both a Democratic and Republican problem. It's more of how much of the people that have the most resources are at those tables in those negotiation deals to say, oh yeah, we won't really care about unions. That's $32.99, and environmentalists. And so I like what they have to present, although probably not presidential material because they're not supporting people down the ballot. And I really like that with a charismatic leader. And by that, I guess you can think who's my number one choice. Just basically Andrew Yang, probably Department of Finance, Secretary Treasury, anything that can really get him involved in, maybe even Department of Jobs. What was it? Secretary of Labor. Tulsi be my Secretary of State. But unfortunately, that would probably only happen in a Bernie Sanders administration. I can't see anybody else hiring her for that. Amy Klobuchar would be 4th. Amy Klobuchar, again, Just like Mariola, if you've seen my 10 best ladies of Black Clover, then you know why I really adore Amy Klobuchar. Just like Mariola, just so much of a fighter. She criticizes the progressives, but at least with some good amount of respect, and not just saying, oh, it's a horrendous idea, but you're at least, here's how we can definitely approve it, and it's a good idea. It's like, I'm not gonna totally dismiss you. And of course, Midwestern can handle snow like a great chick, like a great lady. Yeah. And Tom Sawyer, third, got to meet him, got to shake his hand back when as a elected state party delegate, got to meet him, shake his hand. I hope he supports people down the ballot. Even though his operations was African American, Latinx, and other Asian American communities to get out the vote. He's done that, but of course he's got to help out people down the ballot and say, yeah, this is, even though I'm another white dude that's a billionaire, at least I can help out everybody else and care about their issues. Of course, again, you know who my number one is, who does that way better. Elizabeth Warren, my second choice. She's quite enthusiastic, keeps going, helping out progressive candidates down the ballot, such as Jessica Cesar down in Texas, taking on Henry Clavar, who's basically apparently labeled as Trump's favorite Democrat down there in Texas, and hopefully Jessica Cesar Neos is just amazing there. Also supporting Marie Newman, who's running against Dan Lembitsky, who's the incumbent, Democratic incumbent in that congressional seat, who apparently wants to reverse Roe versus Wade, and Marie Newman wants to be so much better than that. He should be. He's in Illinois. Come on, man. You do know what this is about, right? Anyway, and of course, number one, this man, that Bernie Sanders, the Quito goddamn politics, just enthusiastic, consistent throughout all these debates, even the ones back in 2019. Even when he was sick with a sore throat, he was still pretty efficiently well. Not excellent, but just was able to really still convene with the message of urgency and the message of trying to rally the people for something better. And even supporting those candidates, by the way, down there in the same race in Texas and Illinois. And also helping some down in New York, helping down in California, also especially down the ballot in the issues, all those propositions or measures or questions there that they ask you from people's vote. And I love what he's getting involved in there. So that's my take there. D plus again with the debate. Sorry, CNN, you didn't do very well. Like, share, subscribe to this progressive alternative, although it's not called that. Unfortunately, it's just called With Victor Monjares. I'm Victor Monjares. You have a very fantastic week now. Take care. Till next time.